Open fire. Now that I have your attention.
Welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast. This is Josiah, and we're doing a pretty cool thing today. We're going to get into a review and kind of breakdown of episode 1, chapter 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. I'm sure you guys have all seen it by now, but I have a super fun and special guest with me tonight. This is my buddy, and so I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell you guys a little bit about who he is. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Going pretty good.
Yeah. So, like you said, I'll introduce myself. For those of you who don't know, my name is Finn from the Instagram page Findor Moon, or at Findor Moon, where I do a lot of toy photography, which is how I met Josiah.
That's right. Many years ago, I was a toy photographer. I got to get back there eventually.
Many moons.
But yeah, so Finn does a lot of really cool toy photography and is a fellow Star Wars enthusiast and toy collector and all that kind of stuff, a reader. So we talk about books and comics and stuff as well a lot of times on the gram. But as you guys probably know, if you're a fan of the show, or if you are a friend of Samuel's, he recently got engaged, and so he is spending some quality time with his fiance right now. And then Adam just went on a big trip, and so he had some work to catch up on and things like that. You know how it goes. So I asked Finn if he would jump on here and be a part of the show and just kind of break down this first chapter of the Book of Boba Fett. I could have done it, just by myself, but it's so much better with some banter. So if I need to do one by myself, I can. But I know we had been talking about getting you on the show for a little bit. So basically, I already sent this to you, buddy. But for those of you who are listening, if you guys remember how we used to do the Mandalorian reviews on the podcast, me and Samuel, same kind of format. We're going to go overall thoughts. And during that segment, we're going to try to keep spoilers free, just in case someone has been without Wi-Fi for like 6 years and hasn't seen the Book of Boba Fett chapter 1 yet. But then we'll do we'll be very clear. We'll be very concise. Hey, at this moment, we're moving into Spoilerville. And that's when we'll get into some of our other segments, like our standout moment, new characters, rating the episode, and then what we assume is next. That's where we get into our wild speculation, and the spirit of prophecy touches us sometimes. So
there we go.
I'll ask you first, Finn. So what were your overall thoughts on just the overall episode? What did you think about it?
Oh gosh. Well, okay. So I really, really liked the episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, there was not a moment in the show where I was not just glued to the screen, super interested.
Totally.
It was not quite what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was expecting a lot of the flashbacks and a lot of the, backstory and everything. A little disclaimer, that Robert Rodriguez had said that all of the footage that we had seen in the trailer was from the first half of the first episode. That turned out not to be true. There were moments in the trailers where I was like, that didn't happen in this episode.
Yeah,
like
I was thinking,
I had those thoughts.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing, because the episode's just under 40 minutes. And so, not that I have a perfect internal clock, but I was thinking, man, we got to be getting close to 40 minutes. And I haven't seen, and I started naming things in my mind. And so I think my first thought was like, that's it. And not because I didn't like it, but because I was promised all this stuff. So I really thought I was going to get everything that was in the trailer. And then that way, I don't know. So in my mind, I was like, man, it feels like it's been 40 minutes, but I guess it's been 20 minutes. But I think that after one, it was 2 a.m. here in Texas. So that means what is that? Is that 3 o'clock for you?
Oh yeah.
Did you stay up or did you watch it early the next morning?
Oh, I stayed up.
Nice. I did too. I did a little bit of a cat nap, just like, from like 12 to 1:30 or something like that. But
Right.
but I had the Chiss podcast Hootsuite set up. So like every hour on the hour, it was putting stuff out. 1 hour till Boba Fett, 2 hours till Boba Fett. But I think me being tired, and it's kind of like Christmas, when you're, do you mind asking if I ask you how old you are? I know a ballpark estimate.
Oh
but
no, it doesn't bother me. I turned 26 this past fall.
Okay, cool. So
fall.
we're kind of in the same boat. So you're 26, I'm 28, and Christmas can be amazing, but it's never gonna feel like it did when you were 8 years old or 6 years old. You know what I mean? And so I think the stories that I've just been envisioning in my mind, I've got to wrap my head around. That's not what the show's going to be like. And it was 2 a.m. So at first I was a little bit disappointed. But upon the second viewing or the third viewing, I've enjoyed it more and more because I know it's building up to be, once those 7 episodes come out, it's going to be what we expected it to be as far as the greatness of the show. So what would you, I guess we'll do ratings later. How many times have you watched it so far? Did you watch it back-to-back times and then go to bed, or what did you do?
Yeah, I watched it twice in a row and then I went to bed.
Okay. I watched it.
And then I watched it again whenever I woke up.
Okay. So how many times have you watched it total?
3.
Okay.
I haven't ventured into the 4th yet.
Same here. Okay. So is your wife a Star Wars fan?
My wife is very supportive of me being a Star Wars fan.
Okay. Very similar to my situation.
There's elements of it that she likes. Like if Kylo Ren is on the screen, she's very interested.
Okay. So she's probably a fan of The Last Jedi then.
Yeah. And then so she likes the new trilogy, and
okay.
And then she's interested in starting The Mandalorian. Like, we watched the first episode and she likes it. So we're kind of getting into that. She's watched the entire original trilogy with me.
Okay.
And she was like, they were good. It was just boring.
Oh, dang.
Which I guess if you didn't watch them whenever you're a kid,
yeah,
it can come off that way.
Yeah,
you know,
totally. So do you mind if I ask how long you guys have been married?
Oh, I don't mind at all. We've been married for 3 years.
Okay, cool. So let me tell you, it does get better because my wife and I have been married coming up on 6 years. And at first it was very similar. It was like, oh, that's cute. That's nice. And then now, oh, what was it? There was something that she said the other day that I was like, oh, wow. I was showing her the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett, and the Trandoshan, I guess. All right, listen, from now on, it's going to be spoilers. It's been 3 days. Okay. So full disclosure, if you have not watched the Book of Boba Fett, do not watch the rest of this episode. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right. So when they're paying tribute, right? And the Trandoshan walks in, my wife goes, oh, wow, that Trandoshan's carrying a Wookiee pelt. And I was like, you are extremely attractive right now. And so, but it's cool because it's not her favorite thing, but she is so supportive of me loving it and photography and the podcast and all that stuff, that she's a way better listener than I am when it's something like she could tell me something that she's interested in. And I love her. So I'm like, okay, cool. But it's hard when I'm not interested in that thing. If we're both interested in something, or we're both talking about the X-Files, then like, I'm all ears. Tell me about it, but she does a really great job of like listening, even if she doesn't really care. And Star Wars has been one of those things. So she was like, oh, wow. And she was like, she didn't understand necessarily the significance of the Wookiee pelt, but she was like, oh, wow, that's crazy that he's giving a Wookiee pelt to Boba Fett. And I was like, yes, he is.
Oh, man.
So yeah. You'll get there. You'll get there.
Me and AOS Customs on Instagram, we were having a discussion about that because we've been talking about Wookiees. My whole Wookiee craze that I've been on lately.
Yeah, you're on like
they're one of my favorite species.
Yeah, you're on a Wookiee you ever been on like a DoorDash binge where you're like, I guess Jack in the Box again tonight, huh? That's kind of
yeah.
it's kind of the place you're at with Wookiees right now.
Man.
It's like, all right, I got $5 extra bucks. I'm gonna hit up Mercari for another Wookiee.
That's right. That's right. But he was talking about how he hates Trandoshans because he loves Wookiees.
I guess that makes sense.
And so whenever I messaged him, I was like, hey man, have you seen the new episode? He went, freaking Trandoshans.
Dude,
he's like, man, I hate those guys.
I think if I were to live in Star Wars, I would really despise the Trandoshans, but objectively knowing they're not actually out there hunting each other, it's more one-sided, but those are two of my favorite species, but if you pit them against one another, I'm rooting for the Wookiee, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like, I would love to see, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, let's say something crazy happened and there was a moment where it was like the Imperial Remnant versus Trandoshans. I would love to see them just go bonkers on some stormtroopers. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's fair.
So what were your thoughts real quick before we get into a standout moment? What was your thoughts over a moment that to me shouldn't have been as controversial as it was when, okay, so first of all, how incredible was it when you see Boba Fett in the Sarlacc? That was,
man,
in my mind, he's been there for like days, but he got out there in like 25 minutes.
Right?
Like he was just out of there, lickety split.
Oh yeah. For some people, he's been in there for like 40 years.
I know. Dude, it was crazy because like, so obviously, I'm a pastor and I have this small Bible school that I'm the head of as well. And so some of my guys, they're like, yeah, I'm not really a Star Wars guy. And I was like, that's okay, we got time. And so my pastor asked me to be in charge of the Christmas production this year. And I was like, okay. So we did a Star Wars Christmas production. And so anyways, I was like, guys, if you're going to know your character, you got to watch the movies. And so they begrudgingly were like, okay, whatever. And then after episode 1, they're like, okay, so episode 2 is tonight. And they watched one a night because they got hooked instantly. So one of my guys, his name's Josh, and he knows I'm a huge Boba Fett fan. And he goes, yo, Boba Fett dies from Return of the Jedi. What the heck is going on? Like he was like legitimately mad. I was like, I know, man, it sucks. And so they were getting ready to dismiss for Christmas break, and they were watching The Mandalorian because they knew the Book of Boba Fett was coming out, and everyone was just assuming it was, during the Empire days,
like a prequel.
Exactly. So they're like, well, that's pretty cool. And I was like, you need to watch The Mandalorian just to be caught up on their culture and stuff like that, like just kind of leaving breadcrumbs. And I was like, what episode are you on? And they were like, we just finished episode 5, which is the
Ahsoka episode.
Yeah. They just finished the Ahsoka episode. And I was like, well, hey, let's do this. Let's do pizza, and you guys can come over to my house and watch 6, 7, and 8 tonight. Because we all like watching UFC together and stuff. And I was like, come over to my house. We'll watch 6, 7, and 8, and then we'll catch the fights because they're always super late at night. And they came over, and when Boba Fett shows up with the cowl, and he's like, what the heck's going on? Who is that? And I'm just listening. I'm like, I'm just smirking the whole time. And then when he gets the Razor Crest and gets his armor out, he was like, no way, it's Boba Fett. And dude, it was just so cool to watch them cheer. So anyways, that was super sick. So yeah, he got out there super fast. And I guess the point I was trying to get to before I got on that rabbit trail was, what were your thoughts on the stormtrooper in the Sarlacc? Because it's a surprisingly controversial moment.
Oh man. I mean, my first thought was, hey, that's convenient. But and I mean, of course, I was like, there weren't any stormtroopers on the sail barge,
right?
And then I was like, well, I guess there's some reason why he's there.
Yeah, I was
thinking Trooper Patrol, something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. My first thought was, what the heck? Like, I would have thought he'd be next to like a Klatooinian or like a Jawa or something like that. And I was like, what the frick is that stormtrooper doing in there? And then my thought transition to, well, the Empire has been around for about 23 years at this point, 24 years, something like that. And I was like, these things digest for a freaking forever. And he's wearing armor. So maybe this guy's been in here since before the sailboats was even around. That's the way I've justified it in my mind. But some people were really upset that there was a stormtrooper in there because there shouldn't have been, I guess. But you know, it would have been really crazy. It would have been sad, but it would have been kind of cool. What if it was Rum Sleg in there? And like that would have sucked for our friends, but it would have been cool if it was like, what are the chances we're going to see him on screen again? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's as if Skeleton Astronaut just cried out.
Just cried out in
terror. Like, no, not
was suddenly silenced. I know. It was funny because I posted that spoof picture. There's that picture where Finnick and Boba are in front of the throne and there's all this negative space that people are speculating who's going to be there. And I photoshopped Rum Sleg and Thrawn, and I was like, wow, what are the odds?
What are the odds?
But I really enjoyed it. I think at first I was underwhelmed because I was expecting a movie's worth of action and progression. And then I had to remind myself, oh, we're getting 7 of these. You know what I mean? Like we're going to get well over a full length movie's worth of stuff. We're getting it in 7 pieces, like a pizza. So I guess the next question would be, what was there a standout moment or 2 or 3 that really you were like, oh man, that's what I've been waiting on?
All right. Number 1 standout moment for me. Astromech drummer in the Cantina band.
Dude, how sick was that?
For those who don't know, I am a drummer. It is a big passion of mine. I play music.
Yeah.
And I always wondered when in the original Cantina band, who the heck's playing drums?
Dude, it looks like it's
no one's over here playing drums.
Yeah. I always wondered if it was that Bith that just has like a toaster on its side.
Yeah, like
is that a drum? Yeah.
It's like, is that just like the drum machine?
But it's a legitimate
thing just pressed.
Yeah, it's a legitimate drum set, dude. And he's on time. He's on beat. He's like,
this dude has a hi-hat. For some of you may not know what it is, but this dude has a hi-hat on his head, and he's just sitting here.
Dude, it was so sick.
Going nuts. So I was like, yes,
bro.
I was rocking out. I asked for.
I was rocking out to the sexy Puss in Boots version of the Cantina song.
Oh my gosh, I've heard people referring to it as the Latina Cantina theme.
Dude, that's amazing. I just expected Santana to be
Robert
underneath that.
Rodriguez is the guy who's actually playing. Like Robert Rodriguez.
Oh, because he
one
plays
of the people
guitar.
Actually performing that.
That's sick. So that's a recording of him.
I was like, oh my gosh. Robert Rodriguez featured as Figrin Dan.
What a freaking G. I didn't know that. That's so sick. Dude, it was so cool because we're so used to the horn heavy, like bop, 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 and it was like that was so dope, dude. I couldn't get over it. I was like, hang on. And it was so cool because now it's not just a theater experience where you're like, what was that? And you have to go back. You can literally go boop, 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 and play it again. And it sure is. That was so sick, man.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then I'm talking about like the biggest collaboration in Star Wars. I mean, you have the 2 greatest musicians possibly in the galaxy, Max Rebo and Figrin Dan. They said, "Hey, you want to team up?
Let's do
on
something
this
cool."
One?
Yeah,
I got an Astromech drummer. We can make this a trio.
Bro, it was like a Paul McCartney, Michael Jackson duo, dude. I was like, okay, I see you guys. Dude, it was funny. No. You can tell Max Rebo's like, I'm not doing this for anybody else ever again. I'm not on contract at anyone's throne. I'm going from place to place like a good old fashioned musician. That's so funny.
I live for the gig, man. I'm just gonna gig around.
Right.
I'm not about to get blown up.
He was
like everyone else.
I'd rather not know where my next meal's coming from, but have a guarantee of having a next meal versus being in Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Because Jabba's the kind of guy to be like, hey, throw that elephant down there. I want to see what blue looks like when it bleeds. Like Jabba's just such a sick, twisted dude. Okay, so a standout, obviously the whole show's a standout moment for me being a lifelong Boba Fett fan, but a standout moment for me from the jump that I was like, oh my God, was the first flashback where we're on Camino for 2 seconds. I don't know why. And maybe it's because I have the memory of having a memory of going to see the special editions in theaters. And I know I saw episode 1, but the first movie that I was like, this is Star Wars and this is something I want to go see. And this is like, it was Attack of the Clones, that's our generation, is like the prequels, of course. You know what I mean? Like as kids, all the old heads were like, oh, these movies suck. And I was like, you suck. Jango Fett is in here, like Dexter Jetster. What else do you want?
Yeah, so you're like, let's compare my Obi-Wan Kenobi duel to your Obi-Wan Kenobi duel.
Yeah, like one of us is doing like a slow-mo, like yeah, one of our Obi-Wan Kenobis is doing a long exposure thing with like a wand at Disneyland. I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi and I'm old as crap and you're watching the Disney Channel.
Oh my god.
But our freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi is like sparing lives when he should be taking them. They're on Mustafar.
Yeah. But my Obi-Wan Kenobi cut a backflip and then cut some dude in half.
Yeah. And then our Darth Maul, not that you have one, but I don't know if you've heard, they're like, oh, Ray Park, wow, that's such a great face when you got cut in half. What were you thinking about? And he was like, I made a face that I make when I'm trying to poop. So the Darth Maul face that goes is Ray Park's poop face, I guess. He must have some large bowel movements, bro, if it's like a look of death every time he goes number 2.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'd have to say another standout. Well, actually, no, while we're still on the prequels. I also, about the prequels, I loved. I just appreciated the fact that even though it was just a quick snippet of Camino and a quick snippet of Geonosis, if you put the Geonosis scenes side to side, it's not just a cut and paste. They refilmed that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a new angle.
And I was just like, yes.
Yeah.
So officially,
to me, that's
Disney Star Wars has a live action scene in Geonosis and in Camino.
Yeah. To me, it's so cool because you could totally just cut and paste, every episode of the 30 Days of Boba Fett. I put in hey, this is me, Boba Fett, at the beginning. You know what I mean? They could have done that, but they didn't. They went back and they're like, hey, let's spend a couple, I don't know how much film costs, but let's spend, $50,000, $100,000, whatever it is. Disney has it, but let's spend someone's yearly paycheck on refilming this Geonosis scene just because that'll be nice for the fans. Like, to me, that said a lot. I was like, okay, a new Camino, you know what I mean? It could have been a flashback, but they didn't. It could have been film that they hadn't used before, but it wasn't. It was something brand new. And to me, that said a lot about the quality of the show that we're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. And friends, he did it. Daniel Logan is credited in this episode of Book of Boba Fett.
Oh my goodness.
Because his reflection, like the reflection of his face, was in the visor of Jango Fett's helmet. They got a body double to actually be the little kid.
Yeah.
But they superimposed young Daniel Logan's face as the reflection in the visor. So he is credited as playing Boba Fett in this episode of Book of Boba Fett.
Oh my gosh. So just add that to his little thing at Comic-Cons, is he's going to put Book of Boba Fett.
It's just a still of that reflection in the visor.
That's impressive. I had no idea. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, he was credited.
Did you what were your thoughts on, I think we talked about this just a little bit the night that it came out, but in my head, I even did a freaking episode about the wrist rockets or the gauntlets of Boba Fett, and forever the flamethrower has been on the left gauntlet. Like, that's why that whole thing's coming off the wrist, and he uses his right flamethrower that I didn't know existed to get out of the pit of Carcoon. Is this I mean, I know that John's there. I know that Robert Rodriguez knows what he's talking about. I know that there's tons of fact checkers on set to make sure things like that don't happen. Do you think that's on? Okay, so here's what Skeleton Astronaut said that I thought was like, bing, that's so brilliant. He said, what if that's a nod to the reversed set of gauntlet and antenna from that one scene in Return of the Jedi? What if it's just a little wink?
Oh, that would be a real deep cut.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Really good way that's also a really, really good way to bail yourself out whenever they actually just messed up and put it on the wrong wrist.
Right.
Because I mean, okay, let's all look here. So, okay, we have Boba Fett.
Yeah.
That is the flamethrower.
There you go.
Looks like a flamethrower. This, well, we don't really. It's not a flamethrower. It's not a flamethrower.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a good question. No. The right wrist is the where he can like shoot
the grappling hook and stuff, right?
The grappling hook and stuff, right?
That's what I've always thought. And maybe those hoses are just like pneumatic air to push the rope along like a Nerf gun.
See, okay, that's kind of what I thought, like pressurized. Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know.
But I was like,
maybe
hang on a
it's
second.
one of those things we weren't supposed to notice.
Right. I don't know. But it was cool.
Of course we do. Of course we do.
Okay, let's see. Other standout moments. Okay, to me, the Wookiee belt was super sick. I was sad, but I was like, okay, that's pretty ballin'. Because to me, it was like Abel bringing his best sheep before the Lord in offering. You know what I mean? Because for a Trandoshan, there's nothing more valuable than the hide of a Wookiee, which is their mortal enemy. You know what I mean? So him coming and being like, here's the best thing that I have in my house. I thought that was pretty ballin'. Yeah. What do you got?
And well, also that Wookiee pelt didn't look particularly tall, so some poor Wookiee child.
It looked like a kid, right? I wasn't sure. Okay, I'm glad you noticed that too.
No,
I was like, Lumpy, no,
no, not Lumpy. Take this holiday special.
What if it's just the ugly grandpa?
Oh no! Yeah, take that guy.
And it's the grandpa with the bottom jaw that comes out to here.
He's sitting here just
the Quagmire Wookiee. Oh my god!
And then both is like, "Are you sure this was the nicest one you had at your house?"
This is the bathroom rug. I'm not sure about you yet, Boba Fett.
This is one of those high mileage rugs. Not meaning that it will last a long time.
It's already had the wear and tear.
But
that's awesome.
But yeah, another standout moment for me was emo Tusken Raiders. Man, I freaked out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Totally.
Tusken Raiders in there with black outfits. I'm living for it. They were so like perfectly like gothic, creepy looking. Like they looked more menacing.
Yeah, I thought
like
so too.
More intimidating.
They looked
than the average Tusken Raider.
Their movement and like the clear leadership structure to me set it aside from the typical Tusken, because I was realizing we've like whenever you see the Tuskens in A New Hope or Attack of the Clones or even the Phantom Menace, it's like copy and paste. Like they're all the same, and there's never a standout leader. And it was interesting to me. One thing I liked was in my mind, the way I see the Tuskens in Attack of the Clones, the female Tuskens, you could tell they weren't really for war. Like they were kind of like the homebodies. You know what I mean? Like they have more of a dress style. You're gonna have one right there, don't you?
I do. Yes.
Exactly. See, that's like
they even
she has a freaking backpack for a kid, and you can tell that this woman could kill you if she wanted to, but that's not the first thing on her list. But if I'm not mistaken, the person that Boba Fett ends up fighting that first night that he's captured, to me, it was kind of implied the way that I believe it's a she standing there. It seemed like maybe that was the chieftain's wife or something like that, but she was just as violent.
The matriarch of their group.
I thought it was cool that she was just as capable, because that would be their nature. You know what I mean? Like we've talked about Plug Eye before from the Kenobi book, and Arc it's a woman. It's not a man that has the ruby in one of her eye sockets or whatever. Every time a Tusken turned their head, I was like, is that a jewel? I was just like creeping, looking. Did you read online that the very first moment that we see the chieftain come out, there's a Tusken that approaches him and turns, and it has dreads. And somebody was saying it was like a nod to Asherad Het / Darth Krayt.
What? No, I missed that.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll see if I can find a still or something, but that's what I heard online, is that obviously someone can just, I love Darth Krayt and Asherad Het, so it could just be someone like us being like, oh, that's probably my guy. But yeah, who knows? I mean, that's a far future, something they could be working on. Who knows?
Yeah, if that's a thing, I mean, I don't know. This whole episode, I mean, I was just sitting here the whole time going, all right, I want Hasbro to make a figure of that, and I want Hasbro to make a figure of that, and I want that whole tribe. I mean, minimum the Tusken Raider chieftain and the matriarch lady and that little kid with his dog.
That little brat.
That little brat with a stick.
Dude, for real. He reminded me of, like, I don't remember what movie this is, but there's a movie where there's maybe the movie's called this. It was an old movie, but there was a movie about a kid that was a whipping boy. And is that a movie?
What was a book?
Okay, so there must have been like a TV movie from back in the day or something. Anyways, he reminded me of the kid that never got whipped, and Boba Fett's just the one getting spanked for his wrongdoing.
Yes,
that's what it looked like to me. Was like he was like, yeah, like, so I broke the toilet, kill Boba Fett. Like that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, it's like, hey, sorry, I destroyed our entire reserve of water. Well, we are very upset with you, and we're gonna beat the snot out of this guy until you feel sorry.
This guy's covered in freaking stomach acid burns. Yeah, this poor guy. He looks like a bleached towel freaking out there in the desert. He
looks like a bleached towel.
How do you get whiter than the sands of Tatooine, but somehow he's pastier than a freaking leftover toothpaste?
Oh my gosh, dude. Man, but for real though, I wrote this down. This is one of my first thoughts that I wrote down about this episode is we are in the Tusken Raider Renaissance right now.
Bro, are we not?
We really are.
Dude, I'm so hyped.
I mean,
and the thing that's cool to me is not to pat myself on the back, but when we did an episode about the Tuskens, however many months or year ago or whatever, I was like, let's do an episode about the Tuskens. And something I said during that episode was, how cool is it that you have this native race or species or whatever you want to call it, these native people, and they're so like homebodies, like I'm never going to leave this tent, I just want this in my water, and they end up ruling the galaxy when Darth Krayt comes into play. I was like, dude, that's a freaking full circle moment. And it was cool to really, like I was telling you earlier, that's one of my favorite episodes that we've done, because I'm just so proud of like how encompassing the Tuskens were, and we were putting out things that people probably didn't know. And then the Mandalorian season 2 comes about, and the Book of Boba Fett comes about, and they're already one of my favorite races, and now they're like on the front cover of Time magazine. Species of the year is Tusken Raider.
That's right. No, yeah, and that's honestly probably my all-time favorite episode of your podcast so far. It's just I remember messaging you. I remember messaging you whenever you guys dropped that episode, and I was like, man, of all the things that I wasn't expecting to cover in an episode about Tusken Raiders, somehow I completely forgot about, the galaxy ruling Sith Lord that was a freaking Tusken Raider.
Dude, he was, man. He was. And you know what? If let's just say, like, if me and you were running the show and we were going to bring Darth Krayt back around sometime, I can totally see, it's one of those things that if this was 2003, we'd be like, this is too deep of a cut, but that's not a saying anymore. And I can totally see Plug Eye or even Asherad Het showing up in the Kenobi series or in flashbacks of the Kenobi series. Oh my God. I've said all the time that my shirt would just come off. I will send you a picture of just me and my shirt off if Asherad Het or Plug Eye show up in the Kenobi series. Okay, so obviously new characters that stood out to us were, we love the Tusken stuff, specifically the chieftain and the matriarch. And then to me, I felt like the Gamorreans finally got a fair shake.
Right.
They were cool in the
Justice for the
Mandalorian. Dude, was it just me, or were you a little bit pissed when they were like, "You want us to hose down your Gamorreans?" I was like, first of all, go somewhere. Like,
Right.
these are people.
I was over here like, hey, if my Gamorrean wants to smell like filth, let him be.
Yeah. I felt like that was a very uppity thing of like almost degrading them to like subsentient when clearly they can communicate. And I don't know that I was like, okay, first of all, you need to back away from my pigs. But dude, they saved the freaking day. It would have been a one episode show if the Gamorreans weren't there.
Oh yeah. I mean, for once we actually get to see the Gamorreans guard something.
Right. Yeah, because we saw them dueling in the Mandalorian, but that was kind of sad and grotesque because obviously they're having to kill each other or whatever.
But
it was really
the
cool.
last one left was not really capable.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really, really cool to see them. They're like dad bod ripped. They're like a beer belly that's had like a spray painted 6-pack on.
That's right.
But dude, they were so strong. Those shields, they were just hacking through the shields, and these guys are just flying off. I thought that was dope.
Oh yeah. Something that you mentioned a second ago, like what we're talking about with like the uppityness of the place. That was an undertone that I got through the whole thing. Is that lots of people very, very polite to Boba Fett and very like offering all these things, but when they're doing that, they're being so condescending. It's like offering you, hey, would you like $100,000
just to get you jump started?
Like implying that you're stupid, like the whole time that you do, like just so condescending. Like
to me, it was very like obviously we didn't know what the Aqualish said. The Trandoshans just like kind of covering their own skin, but you know you can't trust them. And but especially the mayor's major domo was like, bro, who the heck are you? Nobody cares. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, he was very like rude and very it kind of makes me, but it makes me realize we've gotten to know Boba Fett over the years, and we're like, oh wow, this guy's super cool, and man, he's my favorite guy. But the truth is, in the grand scheme of the galaxy, he could be kind of a nobody. You know what I mean? Yeah. Imagine this. What if Dog the Bounty Hunter was as vicious as Boba Fett? But nobody really, like, I love Dog, but does anybody really take him seriously though? Like, what if Dog the Bounty Hunter walked up and was like, don't worry, sister, I'm guarding the place. And you'd be like, okay, dog. You know what I mean? Like, that's how they're taking him, I think. Like, he's just kind of, he's like the way that they talked about the Gamorreans to Boba Fett is how they're talking about Boba Fett amongst themselves. You know what I mean? Like, he's kind of beneath them, it feels like he's a hireling. And he kind of mentions that. He says, oh, this is weird, I used to work for him. You know what I mean? Talking about the Trandoshan. So
it's like, oh, so he walked here.
I didn't see your litter. Must not be that rich.
Yeah, he didn't even leave a litter here, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He chose to walk.
Yeah, he's gonna have to definitely. It feels
why don't you put some credits in his helmet? He needs them.
This one's for parking next time on your litter. To me, it felt like he actually backtracked in his effectiveness as the overseer of Jabba's works by the end of the episode because of everything that went down. So I would say, okay, so 4 out of 5 topics. Real quick, rate it 1 to 10.
I'm gonna give it a solid 7.
Okay, I was gonna say 7.5, because I really liked it. There were things that I was waiting to see, but I think that it has the potential to go up based on what comes down the line.
Yeah,
and I think
it's not like the strongest season premiere I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think if it had one little extra something happening at the end of the episode, like even if I'm trying to think of, like, for instance, okay, this, I don't have proof of this or whatever. I have a hunch that Cad Bane will be in the show. Okay, I've not read any spoilers or anything. I'm just thinking he matches the feel of the show. So what if I can't remember how the episode ends. Okay, so the episode ends because the Tuscan chieftain's giving him the water or whatever. Let's say that the show ended up going back to him in the palace one more time, right? And
Yeah.
it could be him and Finnick kind of breaking down the day and being like, okay, well, tomorrow we'll do this better or whatever. And imagine the camera pans out, going back out the hallway the same way they kind of started the show, and the gates open and there's Cad Bane walking into the palace, and that was the end of the show. That instantly ratchets it up because it's setting you up for what's next. But I think the reason that this will get better as the show comes out is this is one story, and it doesn't have the ultimate goal going into Mandalorian season 2 was we got to get Grogu to a Jedi. We knew that. And so anything that happened, we're like, okay, yeah, but we got to get Grogu to a Jedi. And I think that the show is about Boba Fett for Boba Fett, and we want to see what happens to Boba Fett. The 7 episodes of this season, I don't know if it's a limited series and this is it, or if there's going to be more, but it's cool that I feel like this show will feel like the story's building from episode to episode. The Mandalorian's kind of like, here's me in China, here's me in Japan, here's me in North Korea, here's me in South Korea, here's me in the Philippines. Like, it's just like a list of places that he's going and doing things there. I feel like this show, even if we leave planet, will be the story will feel more like
cohesive.
on a line. Yeah.
Oh yeah, linear.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was looking for. So 7 for you, 7.5 for me. All right, here's my favorite part of the show, speculation time. What do you think happens next? What do you expect to see, not just next week, but in upcoming weeks, and where, not just where you think it's going to go, but where would you like it to go if they put you in the director's chair?
All right, so what I'm expecting, my hunch right now is that we're of course going to be spending some more time in flashbacks.
Do you think we get a few flashbacks per episode?
Yeah, probably at least for the first few episodes.
I was thinking at least 3 or 4.
Actually, yeah, we may be doing flashbacks the whole season, but the subject of the flashback may change.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Things.
That's cool.
Like, but as far as his survival of the Sarlacc, I think we've got at least one more episode flashing back to that.
Inside the Sarlacc?
Well, of him with the Tusken Raiders.
Okay.
All of that. So like,
yeah, because he seems to imagine they gave him a gaffy stick now. I don't trust Boba Fett with a gaffy stick if I'm them. So we've got to at least advance him to a place where he's got a clean robe. Like, it's not, he didn't steal it from nobody. It's not raggedy. It's a new robe. He's got a gaffy stick and he's got a cycler. Like, he's got some work to do, I think, still.
What I'm thinking, based on some of the other footage that is still out there from the trailers, we see him cleaning house in the Tashi station, or at least what we believe is the Tashi station, but it's pretty compelling.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe.
I don't think they'll name it, but I think it's one of those things for guys.
What I think is going to happen is that he's going to spend more time, gain more trust with this Tusken tribe, and he's actually going to grow fond of them. He's actually going to build some kind of relationship with them and learn from them and everything, maybe get better at hand-to-hand combat. You know, the matriarch may come in there and, do that thing where it's like the Last Samurai kind of a deal where it's like, all right, you may be a fighter, but I'm going to teach you how to fight like us. And then after he's grown close to them, those raiders, the Nikto swoop bike raiders are going to come like at some point while Boba Fett is away doing something for their tribe and maybe wipe out the whole tribe of Tuskens.
That's a great idea. Because I've always wondered,
Boba's going to go on like a revenge rampage to Tashi Station, track him down.
I've often wondered why the Tuskens don't seem like the type of people to bring you into the fold and then be like, okay, go and fly away. You can do what you want. I can see it story-wise needing for the Tuskens to either send him away, like, okay, that's enough, or he convinces them that he needs to go, or something has to happen to the Tuskens. Do you think that when they're spray painting the side of that farm, Do you recognize that symbol at all? Obviously, it's supposed to mean
No.
whatever gang they're a part of.
Yeah, not initially. I feel like maybe this is the introduction of a new group,
A new
like
faction.
maybe the Red Key Raiders, like from the Aftermath trilogy.
Oh yeah,
those were the ones that were initially, enslaving Cobb Vanth as well.
What if it's because it looks like this?
Yeah.
What if it's two J's and it's the Jawa Juice Gang?
You want some Jawa juice?
Jawa Juice. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that it makes sense that he's got to attack the people in that station before he has his full robe and everything, because he's still in his flight suit when he starts throwing those people around. So yeah, maybe that's the case. Why do you think the boy took him over there to look at those guys? Do you think he was just on a walk and he happened to see them?
That was kind of a mystery to me. I was like, what is he trying to show them?
Right.
Like, or is that like, did they just stumble upon that? Or that was a little weird to me. I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I understand that we have to do this right now so that we can introduce Boba to the swoop gang. So he understands the danger from them.
Right.
But I didn't understand why they did that. That was a little off.
Yeah, it was maybe he was just like, you know how kids feel like they know where they are, but they get lost. It kind of seems like maybe that was the case.
Perhaps.
Do you think okay, so I assume we're going to meet the mayor next episode. And do you think the mayor is the top of his food chain, or do you think he answers to somebody off world, perhaps?
Crazy. Wild stretch here.
Let's go.
Which is actually something that a lot of people have been saying, but I think that there's a possibility that he's somehow on the payroll of Crimson Dawn.
Boom. That's what I thought too. Have you read the
this could be our way to get Kira back.
Yeah. Have you ever read the War of the Bounty Hunters series that Marvel put out?
Yeah, I kept up with it. Yeah.
Okay. So their look, those ninja looks, reminds me so much of Deathstick.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a different color, a more crimson color, you might say. But I totally agree. I think that he's on the payroll of somebody. And
oh yeah.
I need to rewatch with subtitles, but when they named the mayor, it almost sounds like they say Moff. I don't think they say Moff because they wouldn't make an alien a Moff. But at first I was like, what? But I don't think that's the case. So do you think we get a major like recognizable character in episode 2?
I'd be surprised if we did this early.
Yeah, I think we need to build our rapport between Boba and Fennec for a bit.
Yeah, I would say, maybe episode 3.
Okay.
Bring someone in. Unless it's just some kind of like crazy cameo that's not necessarily super important to the plot.
Well, or something where it's a Mandalorian season 2 thing where Boba Fett is at the very end of episode 1 and then he shows up in episode 6. You know what I mean?
Right.
You could have somebody show up and they're not important until 4, 5, or 6 episodes in.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something that I've been thinking about all day and tell me what you think. All right. This is wild speculation time. So Jon Favreau has authored 6 of the 7 episodes. He did not specifically, he co-authored episode 6 of this season with one Dave Filoni. And the last time that Dave Filoni co-wrote with Jon Favreau was episode 5 of The Mandalorian season 2 when we saw Ahsoka. Do you think that Dave co-wrote because Ahsoka will be in the show, or do you think that it's a cameo or an entrance of another character that they needed Dave's expertise on? And if so, who do you think it is?
Well, my first leaning is that it would probably be Ahsoka. You know, they've got to find reasons to keep adding her into this because, I mean, from a lot of rumors that we've heard, the Mandoverse,
Mm-hmm.
which is what they're referring to all the new live action series as,
Right.
that are based during this time. She's kind of supposed to be the one carrying the Mandoverse.
Really?
From what I've heard, which I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, she did pop up in The Mandalorian. She is getting her own show. I wouldn't be like terribly shocked if she did show up in the Book of Boba Fett. I would be wondering what was her reason.
Yeah.
Maybe her and Sabine have a reason to stop.
I think also if that's
learn something about
if we
Ezra.
see her, they've got to get off of Tatooine is my thought.
Yeah.
I would be.
Yeah. I don't see her coming to Tatooine.
Yeah. There's not really a reason, you know?
Yeah.
Unless she's going. Oh man. I mean, she's warmer on the trail than just grasping at straws, and I can't see a reason to come to Tatooine unless she's going to Ben Kenobi's hut looking for Force artifacts.
Oh man, that would be so interesting.
You know what I mean?
She finds out that.
But then again, didn't Vader have it destroyed?
I don't know.
There was something.
Well, Boba Fett tracked Luke there, and they had a big knockdown, drag-out fight, but I don't think he destroyed it.
No.
R2-D2 did knock out Boba Fett, though.
God.
Which was a little embarrassing, but you know.
Yeah.
Which is more embarrassing, R2-D2 knocking him out, or a Jawa or a Tusken Raider kid? There's extenuating circumstances for the Jawa and the Tusken Raider kid. But
the most embarrassing is by far the blind screaming stumble into the Sarlacc. And I would love, dude, if they just do a 30-second little thing of him just getting stoned out of his mind on the katana, so we have a reason for him to do that, I will accept it.
This isn't the spice dream.
Yeah. And I know what a spice dream is.
Man, the robot chicken. I don't know if you've ever seen.
Yeah, I've seen
the
it.
Robot chicken versions. That was.
He's trying to show how cool he is.
Excuse me, Ossifer. I drunk better.
Yeah, dude.
Better when I drive.
Okay, so any chance of Thrawn in this series at all?
I don't see a reason for Thrawn to be in this particular series.
Me either.
I mean,
even though I'm just
unless
begging to see him.
The Empire's movements are going to be a problem for Boba Fett and his criminal empire, I don't see a reason for them to be involved.
Unless Boba Fett becomes the new Talon card and is leading a group of people against the Imperial Remnant. And here's my other thing. My other thing is I just finished the Thrawn Aftermath trilogy. And I'm so torn because Thrawn off screen and Thrawn in Rebels is two different people, dude. Like it's not.
He seemed more compassionate.
He's like everything is for the greater good. Everything is for what's going to save the Chiss. And to me, the Imperial Remnant is not going to save the Chiss. I don't see a world where he's because in Legends, he was like, he still called the rebellion, even after the New Republic was formed. Like he was clearly loyal to the Empire. And part of that was because of his really demoralizing exile from the Chiss. And I don't want to get into spoilers about the book or whatever, but it's definitely, he still has love for his people, which you don't necessarily feel in the Legends material. And so to me, like, I can see Luke Skywalker and Thrawn sitting down over like a brunch at like a fancy diner and being like, yeah, we got to get our stuff together and save the galaxy because there's another threat out there. So it's interesting to me. I want to, if I was writing everything, I would love to see Thrawn come into the Skywalker Organa fold and be like, okay, well, now you guys are the next person to partner up with, because ultimately his goal is not to bring back the Empire, it's the preservation of the Chiss Ascendancy. So Anyways, okay, last thing, and then we'll log off of here before we go for too long. But what were your thoughts on the sand creature at the very end of the episode? And this thing's completely new, right? We have not seen anything or heard anything or read anything about this before.
Yeah, no, I believe it's a brand new thing.
I'm texting and calling all my nerdiest friends, and nobody knows.
I got some real Dejaric game piece vibes from him, which I haven't actually checked to see.
I'm looking it up right now. Keep going.
A Dejaric game piece.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I was
like, man, he looks like he would be a piece from a Dejaric board. But if he's not, and he is a brand new thing, my first instinct was, it seems a little off.
The face looked a little off to me.
It seems like a Star Trek monster.
It seemed like a Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
Monster. Dude, I'm tripping.
But I warmed up to it.
Let's see.
He was pretty cool.
I guess I can look all these up. Dude, some of these kind of... Okay, let's see. This one doesn't look like him. There is one on here that has multiple legs, but it's got like a really big fat tail. It's called a Kalor slug. It doesn't really strike me as a slug. I don't know. It does look like a Dejaric character though. But I've been looking it up like, what is this? What is the sand beast? What is all this? But I think it's new. The face itself, the body was cool, but the face itself looks so hand puppet Godzilla-y to me. But it could be because Lucasfilm has always had a fond relationship with that director Harryhausen or whatever, the old horror pit guy. Yeah. So maybe that was kind of a shout out to him. It'll be cool. Yeah. The Krayt Dragon didn't look like I thought it was going to look in Mandalorian either, and I love it. So
yeah, at first when this monster came up out of the ground, I thought
a small Krayt Dragon.
I was like, is this where we encounter the Krayt Dragon? Like,
right.
When he was uncovering it.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. But I thought that was a pretty cool bit.
Yeah, overall, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think that Boba... Was it just me, or was Boba really nice to everyone?
Dude. So nice. Surprisingly nice.
More nice than he probably should have been.
He's definitely nicer than he should be if he's trying to live on Tatooine. I think, the Boba Fett that we see trying to rule Jabba's kingdom has been through some really crazy bullcrap in the last 5 years that we don't know all the way about yet. And it could be it could be that as we're going along, we're going to learn how he becomes more docile over time. Because in the War of the Bounty Hunter stuff, he's still freaking flamethrower Chewbacca just because. Like, it's not.
But then he apologizes to a dog because he had to knock it out.
No hard feelings, mate. And he pets it after he knocks it out. He pets it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's just like, man, I just survived death. I'm trying to be the right guy. I don't know. He seems to me more docile than he was on Tython. So
yes,
I'm kind of struggling a little bit with it.
He comes straight out of the gate. Hey, I'm going to shoot your kid. Whoa, hey, whoa. There's no need for violence, guys. I mean,
yeah. Let's lay down our weapons, have a chat. But if not, I'm going to kill your son.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very interesting. I wonder if he just has to, I don't know. I hope that it kind of explains that, you know what I mean? Which is so surprising because Robert Rodriguez was the director of that episode. So like he was in charge of Boba already and his personality and stuff. So we'll see. Hopefully he, I hope that he doesn't turn into like a butthole, but I do hope that Finnick convinces him like, hey, you really need to step up your game. Like you're walking around saying you're Boba Fett, but you got to be Boba Fett.
Yeah,
and
be a little bit more ruthless.
Yeah, I hope he gets like a couple of aspirin and whatever that back is needs to be upgraded because what was up with that? That was to me, that was one of the sand monster took me out of the movie for a second because I was like, well, that doesn't feel Star Warsy. It was cool, but it didn't feel Star Warsy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Same thing with a lot of Canto Bite aliens. Like when that one big Canto Bite alien is just singing in the hallway, I was like, I don't, yeah, I don't feel like I'm watching Star Wars for this 5 seconds, but so that felt that way. And then I was confused about him needing to go to the Bactopod so quickly. I don't know if it's because it was electricity and he's got like nerve damage from the Sarlacc or what it was, but in Tython, he was like going to work on these guys with the gaffy stick. Like he seemed to have all of everything was fine. He didn't need icy hot afterward. Like he seemed like he was doing his thing. So I don't know.
He could also be having some pretty serious PTSD. I mean, he mentioned that the dreams are back, you know, like he could be struggling with some heavy mental health stuff going on.
Yeah,
here
it could be that
his performance.
Because that day that he wakes up and he says the dreams are back makes it seem like there's been a period of time where he's gotten away from that. And maybe it's him being back on Tatooine, being back in the palace where he's worked for so many years. That's interesting. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. We've been kind of wanting to do this for a while, and
dude,
I thought you were fantastic. So thanks for hanging out for a bit.
Hey, no problem, man. Anytime you want me back, I'll be here. I love doing this.
Awesome. Well, hey, if you guys have an Instagram, if you're a Star Wars fan, please follow my buddy. His tag is @FendorMoon. If you follow the podcast, if you want to go to our list of people we're following and people that follow us, you can find him there as well. If you don't know how to spell Fendor Moon, I'll put a little plug or a picture somewhere in the show so they can just see how it's spelled. But man, thank you so much again. Hey, if you like this video, please spread the word, share it, subscribe to the podcast, turn on notifications so you know when we're putting new stuff out. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, may the Force be with you. Thanks, Finn. I'll see you, buddy.
No problem. See ya.
Bye.